First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for having given me an opportunity to be here today. Believe me, it feels so wonderful to meet so many of my friends here. It's my first time in Dhaka, but it doesn't feel so. I feel at home because I know so many of you here. And I'm really, really overwhelmed by all the love and hospitality that has been shown to me. So let's start with the evaluation of marrow of spine. Now, evaluation of marrow is interesting because of the various appearances it can have on the various sequences, as well as because marrow is a dynamic organ. So it changes how it looks throughout the life. It looks different in a child, different in an adult. Then again, based on the need of the body for hematopoiesis, it can have different appearance. So that's why it can get a little complicated, but if we understand the basic appearances, it becomes easier. So as we all know, marrow has two components. The red one, which is the hematopoietic, it produces the red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelet precursors. Then you have the yellow marrow, which has more of fat within it and very less of hematopoietic cells. On MR, the imaging reflects this. The yellow marrow looks like fat, while red marrow looks a little bit like water, not completely, but a bit like water. If we look at the pattern of marrow, at birth, the entire body, all the bones have red marrow. Then as the child grows up, the red marrow gets converted to yellow marrow. And luckily for us, it happens in a very predictable and uniform fashion, first in the distal part of the body and then in the axial skeleton. And if you notice, at around 20 to 25 years of age, the adult pattern is reached and only the central skeleton, the axial skeleton, still has red marrow. So spine, even at an older age, would have a large proportion of red marrow compared to the peripheral bones. So, when we look at marrow abnormalities, you can have normal marrow, you can have some abnormal signal, but it may not be significant, which we see in our day-to-day practice, and it may not be clinically significant. What we are more interested in is looking at the abnormal signal, which is significant. How do we image? X-rays, as we know, are not very sensitive. You need about 50% bone destruction before a lytic lesion is evident on a radiograph. CT, again, you're looking only at the osseous component, the osseous destruction. We are not imaging the marrow that well. Radionuclide scan is very sensitive but not specific. Anything with a high bone turnover will look like a hot spot. So it will not be very specific as to what particular abnormality it is. So MRI is the modality of choice when we want to image the marrow itself. How does the marrow look? If you look at the age of a neonate, a child, what you can see is what looks like vertebral body, something which looks very prominent, is in fact the disc. The vertebral bodies don't look that prominent. They are looking darker. It becomes difficult, in fact, when you count which is the body and which is the intervertebral disc. Later, as you see, by about 1 year, you can now clearly demarcate the vertebral bodies, the discs. But on a T1 weighted image, if you see, all the vertebrae look diffusely, slightly hypointense. They still don't have much of fatty marrow. And then in an adult, this is the pattern that we see. A T1 weighted image, the marrow should be fatty. It should always look brighter than the adjoining intervertebral disc. So after the age of 10 years, if you see the vertebral body darker than the adjoining disc, something's wrong and you need to think what it is. On a T2 weighted image, if you see here, the marrow is bright. The disc is brighter because of the water in the nucleus pulposus. This here is the fat along the basivertebral venous plexus. So now, which are the sequences that we look at when we are imaging marrow? The most important one is the T1 weighted image. Why? Because in an adult, normal fatty marrow is bright. All the pathologies are dark, so you can see it very well in that background. Next sequence, which is very important, is a fat-saturated T2 or a STIR sequence. STIR works better over larger field over curved surfaces. Fat-sat may not be homogeneous over curved surface or large field of view unless you use certain other additions like ideal, those kind of sequences. Why this is important? because a T2 weighted image is not very good to look. Plain T2 is not good to look for marrow abnormality. Most of the pathologies are bright on T2. Lesion is bright, marrow is bright. How do we distinguish between them? So if we suppress the fat, make the fat look dark, the pathology is bright and stands out. But one caveat here is that if you have a sclerotic lesion, a sclerotic mets from prostate carcinoma, it may look dark on a STIR sequence. So when you want to screen for metastasis, you need to do a T1 weighted image for screening, because sclerotic as well as lytic mets will be seen as dark on T1 weighted image. So a combination of T1 and a STIR or a fat-sat T2 is what is needed. Don't go by only plain T2. It's very easy to miss lesions on these. So if we look at the bone marrow disorders, you can divide them into one where there is reconversion. That means red marrow has got converted to yellow marrow with age, but then there is some increased need for hematopoiesis. Patient may have anemia. So the yellow marrow gets converted back into red marrow. Or the marrow could be infiltrated by tumor cells or by abnormal metabolic cells. The marrow may be depleted and you will see lots replaced by fat. The marrow may be edematous, which could be due to trauma, tumor, infection, ischemia, or the marrow could be fibrosed. The hematopoietic tissue gets replaced by fibrous tissue. Radiology wise, to understand, you may have something which looks like fat. That is bright on T1, bright on T2, dark on STIR sequence. You may have a pathology which looks sclerotic, which is dark on all the sequences. You may have something which is edema, dark on T2, bright on STIR sequences. You may have infiltration, which again would parallel that of edema. Fibrosis would be dark on both. Red marrow is slightly hypointense than the muscle on a T1 weighted image and slightly hyperintense to the muscle on a STIR sequence. Let's start looking at the images. This is something we see day in and day out. We start with fat. So when you have a well-defined rounded lesion, they can be multiple, which could be focal fatty marrow, or you can have a hemangioma, which can have a little bit of striated, usually just incidental findings. You just mention them in the body of the report and leave it at that. A CT, if it is done, will show you the classic polka dot appearance or the corduroy appearance based on which image you are scanning. Sometimes hemangiomas can be large, like you can see here. This patient, there is a striated pattern, the vertebra is little expanded, and you have a large part which has bled. There's a soft tissue component which has caused marked cord compression. These are rare. The incidental hemangiomas are what we see all the time. Fat may be seen along the intervertebral disc on either side or along a small node, which could be the Modic type 2 changes. So these are very easy to identify. Anything which is bright on T1, you can fairly be certain that this is more likely benign and you're not worrying about anything more sinister. Fat can be very useful when you want to look for response to treatment. Like here, this patient was a young guy with multifocal tuberculosis. This was his initial scan, T2 weighted image, T1 weighted. Oh, the pointer is not showing there. 1 second. Do we have a pointer? I thought the pointer is showing. Okay. Yeah. So this is a T2 weighted image. This is a T1 weighted image. This is a STIR sequence. So we have multiple lesions in the vertebrae which are bright on STIR and slightly dark on T1 weighted image. After this patient completed his entire course of anti-tuberculous treatment, you can see on T1 weighted image, these dark lesions have now been replaced by fat. That means this is healing. Next, fatty marrow may also be seen with myeloid depletion. When the hematopoietic marrow is depleted, this could be due to aplastic anemia, or more likely we see it post-treatment when radiation therapy or chemotherapy has given for some underlying malignancy. So this was a patient who received radiation for a oropharyngeal or nasopharyngeal malignancy, and you can see here there's a very sharp cutoff. C2, 3, 4, 5 show fatty marrow, and below that you have the normal marrow. So you know that this is the exact field which was radiated, replaced by marrow. Initially, there will be edema once the radiation is given. After a few months, fatty marrow. And after about 1 or 2 years, the normal marrow may recover. This was again a patient who had received radiotherapy, and you can see bright on T1. So bright on T1, you're usually safe. Next, coming to sclerosis, which looks dark on both T1 as well as T2. Commonest what we see are the Modic type 3 sclerotic changes. It looks dark on T1 as well as on T2 weighted images. Sclerosis may also be seen with metastasis. So here you can see the vertebral bodies are darker than the disc. The disc is bright while the vertebral bodies are darker, so we know it's abnormal. It is very patchy, diffuse throughout the spine. This was a patient with carcinoma of prostate, and these were metastases. Marrow edema could be due to a number of causes. The common one again we see is the Modic type 1 degenerative end plate changes, where you have bright signal on either side of the disc and the intervening disc is degenerated. You need to distinguish this from infection. Sometimes, usually it's not, but sometimes it's a problem. In infection, the intervening disc is also involved, so it is bright in tuberculous early spondylodiscitis. And when you notice, there is some amount of soft tissue component. While in Modic type 1 changes, the disc is dark, it is degenerated, and the edema is limited to less than about half of the vertebral body. It's not too diffuse. Tuberculosis typical appearance, we all know disc, two bodies involved, associated soft tissue component. This is in the little later stages. Just marrow edema could be seen in post-trauma. This was a patient who had back pain after epileptic attack. And what you can see here is number of vertebrae show marrow edema with very subtle superior end plate depression or very subtle hypointensity there. These were number of very subtle compression fractures. This was a patient with old lady osteoporotic fractures. So MR shows marrow edema and can tell you which is the acute one. Radiograph can be sometimes difficult as to which is the acute one and which is not. So MR can show you marrow edema in it. Coming to marrow infiltration, the one we don't want to miss. Here if you see, this was a young guy who we knew the history before. He was a known case of leukemia. And what you can see is the vertebral bodies are slightly darker than the disc on T1 weighted image. So this is abnormal. The pathology is very diffuse, and when I see on stir, it's very bright. Red marrow would not look this bright on a stir sequence. It will just be a little brighter than muscle. Here is much more bright. This was diffuse leukemic infiltration. Lymphoma, the infiltration is usually not that diffuse. It's more localized. So here in this patient, you have these vertebral bodies which are dark on T1. They show enhancement, though we may not give contrast every time. Soft tissue is involved. And here I want to make it a point that on plain T2 images, these lesions can be very subtle and not easy to pick up. Mets, very common. In fact, more common in the spine because there is predominance of red marrow here. Very common from prostate, breast, followed by renal and GI malignancies. Melanoma is not something that we see that very often. So here again, the very fact that the vertebrae are darker than the disc on T1, you know it's abnormal. On stir, it's looking bright. So again, we know it's abnormal. These were CA, breast metastasis. Important to distinguish metastatic compression fracture from an osteoporotic compression fracture. Most of the times, routine imaging is able to help. You may do flare, you may do diffusion, but I would say 99% of the time, the usual basic ones help. And sometimes nothing helps and we need to go in for a biopsy. So here if you see, this is metastasis. On T1, the entire vertebral body shows altered marrow signal. It has a posterior convex margin, some associated soft tissue component. And here if you see in an osteoporotic fracture, when you see fluid within the vertebral body, you're more sure that this is an osteoporotic fracture. If you look at the posterior margin, instead of being convex like this, it is more angulated, a retropulsed fragment. So you can distinguish between the two fairly well. Multiple myeloma can have a number of patterns. The common one that you see, again here, very heterogeneous marrow. If you see on stir, the iliac bones, sacrum, all the bones, some of them show compression deformities. But remember, sometimes multiple myeloma can have completely normal MR. Even though the patient is proven multiple myeloma, MR may be normal. We have seen that happening in few cases. And there are case reports describing it. Multiple myeloma can be solitary like here. Coming to myelofibrosis, where the marrow is replaced by fibrous tissue, which looks dark on both T1 as well as T2. This could be primary disorder. This could be following radiation or chemotherapy. So here if you see, the vertebrae are dark on all the sequences. T1, you can see how much dark the vertebra is, much more darker than the disc, as well as on T2. T2 also it is very dark. This was a known patient with myelodysplastic syndrome. When you see very diffusely hypointense vertebrae, another thing which should come to your mind is a patient with immunocompromised status. So HIV positive patients again can have diffuse marrow hypointensity, and you need to find out if that's true. Vertebrae may be very dark in hemosiderosis, which we see commonly. We see a number of thalassemia patients in our practice. You see the vertebrae very dark. On T2 also it's like looking darker than the disc. T1 it's dark, all the bones are dark. Look at the liver and the spleen, completely dark. So this is because of iron deposition, because of the repeated transfusions this patient has received. Last, coming to reconversion, whenever there's a need for more of hematopoietic marrow and the body's red marrow is not enough, then the yellow marrow starts reconverting back into red marrow. This was a patient with thalassemia, and you can see all his vertebrae are darker on T1, and this patient even had extramedullary hematopoiesis in the epidural space, which is quite rare. So this is an article, something that we've sent for publication. This was an interesting patient, very diffuse marrow signal intensity. This was a young girl, and she came with deformity of her spine. That was a complaint. And what we noticed were the vertebrae looked little biconcave, and the whole spine looked very rigid. So we said, let's just screen the sacroiliac joint. Is it something related with ankylosing spondylitis? But we saw SI joints were clear. And instead, what we see are these very well-defined, rounded, focal, punched-out like lesions. We did her BMD, which showed a very T-score consistent with osteoporosis, and this turned out hyperparathyroidism. Those were the brown tumors in the SI joints. The last 2 or 3 slides about what's new. So in our practice, the T1 and the STIR sequence helps us all the time. Chemical shift imaging, where you have in-phase and out-of-phase imaging. So any lesion which is not of fat intensity on T1 and loses less than 20%. So fat loses signal on out-of-phase images. If it doesn't lose the signal intensity, it is abnormal. They use this especially in follow-up of patients with leukemia on treatment. We do not really do it all the time. Whole body MR was popular for some time, but again now with PET and all that, it's not something we do very often. And also difficult to look at the calvarium and ribs on a whole body MR. May not be that very reliable every time, but can be very helpful. There are articles on MR spectroscopy, again something that we have not tried in our setting, where they show fat and water. So with age you can see the fat peak is increasing and the water peak is reducing. So maybe in future this is what all of us may be doing, and just as Mr. Bapna mentioned, we don't know what all they'll come up with, and I'm sure it will make things much more easier for us. So to summarize, be aware of the normal variations, know the age of the patient. So at a particular age, a particular appearance is normal, you need not worry. T1 weighted image and STIR or a T2 FATSAT, whichever works better, is what is most important. Don't go by plain T2, don't go by PD, not ideal. And anytime you see signal in a vertebral body darker than the disc on a T1 weighted image, something is wrong, and what it is, we need to evaluate further. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much.